Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually out of breath. I just ran back from the kitchen with a bottle of water. How are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BBC Spews Live. Huzzah! It is the 13th of April, isn't it? Yeah, it's easy to get confused out here in America where they refuse to do the date the same way as everybody else. Who's in? Now then, a decent crowd already. How are you? Ragnar, thanks for modding. Acoustic Abuse, welcome. New boy there, isn't he? Phil, Blaze, Baldo, Angel Alive, Professor Andy, Cornfrog, Jonathan Old, Migo, Smart Not Lucky, and anybody else. Too many of you lot turning up these days. You can't all get a name drop, can you? Yeah, laughing at the chat already. Refugee. He's about as refugee, as much a refugee as I am a fucking Robert Redford lookalike. How is he a refugee if he's not fleeing a war? He'll be like from Algeria or Morocco or somewhere. I reckon, has there ever been an era in history where the word refugee has been so incorrectly used for so long? I literally think 99% of the people that have moved to the UK in the last 10 years weren't refugees. Like, almost none of them are. Almost none of them. The Ukrainians would be the only ones that you rightfully call a refugee. And have you seen the Ukrainians go to Ireland? I seen a picture at the airport in Dublin of a load of Ukrainian refugees, and every one of them was as black as a fire back. Now, I might be wrong, but I don't think Angolans generally are born in Ukraine. Like, I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, a refugee from France. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Taunton, oh my God, Toy Town. I used to like Toy Town. I bet you it's an absolute hole now. Absolute hole. Everything has gone tits up. You know what I'm going to put on? I need a drink anyway, so I'm going to play something for you, because let me tell you, the pennies finally dropped for these fucking idiots. Because I keep telling you lot, like, I am a liberal. I still consider myself a liberal, because on the real tenets of the ideology, I agree with it. I think people should leave you alone to live your own fucking life. I think the state should be as small as possible. I'm not a conservative, not a natural conservative. I'm a liberal person. But these fucking idiots have just ruined everyone's fucking life. Like, nothing has got better in the last 10 years. Everything has gone to shit. And if you think otherwise, you've never fucking gone for a walk. Take the dog for a walk. Come back in and tell me 5 minutes later that it's got better out there than it was 10 years ago. How the fuck is it progress? They call it progressive in America, don't they? I'm progressive. What the fuck have we progressed? Nothing. You can't get a house. You can't get a doctor's appointment. You get stabbed when you go to the shopping mall. What the fuck have we progressed? What? We've been going, it should be arse backwards, if that should be a term. Anglo-Saxons, give me a tenner. Cheers, mate. Bevy on me, Matt. I see diversity has struck again in Sydney. Oh, yeah, weird that, isn't it? You know why we know it was diversity? Because the BBC said it was a white nationalist. Yeah, of course it was. They do it all the time, don't they? Yeah. They're always going around stabbing people. It's London Bridge, 7/7, Manchester bombing. Always those arseholes. I'll have £100 with anyone who wants to take me money that the bloke who done it wasn't ginger. How's about that? Anne Coulter made this point when she was on Bill Maher's show after a bloke shot a load of people at a marathon a couple of months ago. And Bill Maher was like, oh, we don't know who did it. She goes, we know who did it. He went, what are you talking about? Scornful, you know. What are you talking about? She's like, oh, we know who did it. He went, no, we don't. They haven't said who's done it. And he went, and she was like, yeah. And because they haven't said who done it, we know who did it. She said, if it was a white guy, we'd know who did it. He went, no, they were all laughing at her. Just like when she said Trump was going to win the presidency in like 2015 or whatever it was. They're all laughing at her. She goes, we know who's done it. And Bill Maher's like, oh, yeah, well, okay, you know, because you're clairvoyant. A week later, guess who was fucking right? Guess who was right? Anyway, I'm going to play it for you because I'm only glad the penny dropped eventually, but I'm disappointed that the penny only dropped after they spent years totally fucking up the country. Let me play this for you. Honestly, as I, and I'm sure all of you lot have been saying for years, because we know it to be true. There is no bigger issue at all than immigration. Nothing. Because everything is downstream of it. And the general public has known this for 20 years. This is what I'm saying. It's basically an act of naked self-harm. Because the general public, as I keep saying to you fucking knobheads, right? The general public, trust them. The general public know. Just trust the public. You don't have to be a college professor from Cambridge. You just have to be a normal person who lives in the real world and goes to work and walks the dog and talks to people in the pub. And you learn through osmosis. It's why I was so pissed off with Brexit when they were like, oh, they didn't know what they were voting for. We did. We got a leaflet through the fucking door and we sat and we talked about it in the pub for months. And the debate raged for months. And then when they lost, they went, oh, they didn't know what they were voting for. Fuck off. Fuck off is the only thing I can say to that. But listen to this here. It's pretty long. We won't do the whole thing. But honestly, every word of it is true. The penny has dropped for Bill Maher. It's just a shame that it comes too late because they've spent the last 4 years fucking up the country.
Well, if we want to save our country, we should follow the advice good liberals have given for decades and learn from other countries. Especially those beacons of progressivism like Canada, England.
Oh shit, where's my fucking setting? Let's see if I can get the audio to work. There we are. Yeah, can you guys hear the audio there?
England and Scandinavia. And I agree we should, as long as we're honest about the lessons we're learning, and as long as we're up to date on the current data, such as the unemployment rate in the U.S. is 3.8%, and in Canada it's 6.1%. And of the 15 North American cities with the worst air pollution, 14 are in Canada. I'm not citing these stats because I have it out for Canada. I love Canada and its people and always have. But I hate zombie lies. Zombie lies. That's when things change, but what people say about them doesn't. Yes, for decades, places like Vancouver and Amsterdam and Stockholm seemed idyllic because everything was free and all the energy we needed was produced by riding a bike to your job at the windmill. Canada was where all the treasured goals of liberalism worked perfectly. It was like NPR come to life, but with poutine. Canada was the Statue of Liberty.
The audience are insufferable and just fake laugh all the time, though, don't they? Anyway, I'm going to skip over the minute of him talking shit about how good Canada is. Here's where he gets to the meat. Which, again, none of this is news to any of you lot at all. Any normal person. None of this is news. And how many times have I made the argument about healthcare? The single biggest issue is immigration because everything is downstream of it. If there's too many people, you can't get a house, you can't get a doctor, you can't get a place for your kids, everything. And even little things, quality of life. You're always stuck in traffic, you have to fucking queue for everything. All the shops run out of disposable barbecues when the sun comes out. Everything. And the public has known this for 20 years. That's for 20 years. Fucking Peter Mansfield went on the telly and said, we got it wrong on immigration, but we did it on purpose. To rub the right's nose in it. That's what he was saying, to placate the left. There's a new subscriber. Hey up, Flower. Love your vids. Been binge watching them all. You're a breath of fresh air. Thanks very much. Also, Peggy gifted some Bootneck memberships. So I don't know how that works. But thanks, Peggy. Yeah, apparently you can just get one. Yeah, easy. So thanks for that, Peggy. Cheers. But yeah, so it's everything. Everybody knows this. Look at the Irish. The Irish are kicking off because they're getting swamped now. And all of a sudden, you can't get a house, you can't find a school for the kids, you can't get a doctor's appointment, you can't get a dentist appointment, you're fucked. And wages get depressed for poor people because they're all bastard badly educated. So if you're an Irish chav who left school with 1 GCSE in art, you're competing with a load of other poorly educated men. Thousands of them have just moved to shitty little villages in Ireland. But anyway, let's see Bill Maher do it, because the penny has dropped for this dickhead.
And now they're experiencing a housing crisis even worse than ours. And we're sleeping in tents. The median price of a home here is $346,000. In Canada, converted to US dollars, it's $487,000. If Barbie moved to Winnipeg, she wouldn't be able to afford her dream house, and Ken would be working at Tim Hortons.
God, Piers is on there.
Which ranks dead last among...
Another one, dead last. Because Canada has had, I think Trudeau's invited 1.1 million people in the last fucking 3 years or something. And if you look at the population, it's the equivalent of the Americans taking in 11 million. Which, ironically, is about how many Biden's let in. Sloppy fucking Joe. Sloppy Joe's let in at least 10 million. But they fuck with the numbers, so it'll probably be 15. So, like, it's bad. And it's because of unfettered immigration. And as I keep saying, I'm not against immigration. I'm an old school liberal, and I'm an immigrant. But you do it like we used to before Blair turned up, where you'd take in like 20 or 30,000 people a year because they got vetted properly. And I got vetted to shit when I wanted to come to this country. Vetted the balls off me. I had to go down to the US Embassy in London. I had to pay for a fucking police interview and a fucking background check and get a load of documents off them. I had to send them tons of shit. I had to get a medical, and then I had to sit in a room with some American bird at the consulate in London. And then they gave me a temporary visa. And then I went to America, and then I had to do it all again. And then I had to have an interview with a blog. I had to do a quiz, answer a lot of questions about the American Revolution and the history of the country, get another medical, fucking pay about $5,000. Like, it's just do the process. Just do the process. And if anybody turns up without going through the process, stick them on a fucking herc and ditch them back where they came from. I don't care how you do it, but just fucking do it. And they go, we can't do it. It's against international law. You make the laws, you write the laws, fucking ignore that one. What a load of bollocks. Oh, well, it's against international law. It's a piece of paper. And you arseholes get rid of laws all the time or write new ones. Tony Blair ripped up every rule book. So don't tell me, oh yes, but international law. Fuck international law. We bombed the ever-loving shit out of the Iraqis. Was that not against international law? We literally invaded a country on a fake pretense and killed 1 million people. But when you want to stop illegal criminal migrants, they go, oh yes, but international law. Suck my fucking knackers, Kia. You horrible, slimy little rat. Rat in a suit, as I keep saying. The rat in a suit. Anyway, rant, let's have a listen.
High-income countries in access to primary health care and ability to see a doctor in a day or two. And it's not for lack of spending. Of the 30 countries with
all the shit I keep saying, the ability to see a doctor in a day or two. Can you fuck do that now? Makes me so angry, because this is what the shit I tell people now. If I'm talking to like young lads at work, trying to fucking talk them into being normal and voting for the fucking right-wing options in America, they think I'm lying. I was like, I literally remember me mum phoning the doctor when I was a bairn, like 7 or 8, and the doctor turning up in my front room 4 hours later. This is in like 1988. That used to be a thing. And then we moved 10 million people. Think about, we've literally moved at least 10 million people to the UK since 1988. Probably more, right? 20 million? 30 fucking million? I don't even know. Doctor used to turn up at your house. Fucking brilliant. I'm ill. Hello, I'm a doctor. Imagine that now. Imagine that now. All this shit, and now it's fucking... I've been saying this for 10 years. Your dad's been saying it for 20. And now the clever people in suits. Oh, what? You mean inviting 10% of your population in 3 years? What? That fucks up the healthcare system? Fuck yeah. Like it's just dawning on them. Jesus Christ. How thick are they? These are the clever ones.
Universal coverage. Canada spends over 13% of its economy on it, which is a lot of money for free health care. Look, I'm not saying Canada still isn't a great country. It is, but those aren't paradise numbers. If Canada was an apartment, the lead feature might be America adjacent. But I need to cite you as a cautionary tale to help my country. And the moral of that tale is, yes, you can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right.
Yeah.
At its worst, Canada is what American voters think.
That's what they did to me. That's what they did to me. And now, YouTube, I had to chat with one of their fucking representatives who was lying to me yesterday. Now they've decided I'm far right. Liberal my whole life. Obama era Democrat. Salty Cracker's the same. You listen to all these people who are starting to get popular on YouTube. They're all disaffected liberals, which makes sense, doesn't it? Because high extroversion and artistic creativity tendencies like that. This is really getting into psychology of it, but I'm an amateur psychologist. They are more liberal people tend to gravitate towards the arts. That's why. It's not just because it's a clique. It's because you have a tendency for those type of behaviours. So it makes sense that all of the talking heads doing like comedy on YouTube, comical political commentary, disaffected liberals. We are liberals, but you've gone fucking insane. So we've gone, okay, I'll hold my nose and I'll vote for whoever the right-wing candidates are. That doesn't make you far right. That doesn't make you a white nationalist, whatever the fuck that means. You're a normal centre-left person who's just woke up and smelled the coffee. And you're man enough to hold your hands up and say, holy shit, I was wrong. Like this thick twat has finally done, but he's fucking 10 years after me. So, yeah, funny that, innit?
I think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness, like the saga of Canadian shop teacher Kayla Lemieux, whose pronouns are she, her, and those.
Right, and this is what I'm saying, right? Every normal person knew that was fucking ridiculous. But the woke were like, no, gotta respect gender diversity. This is, like I keep saying, ultimately, they're just thick. They're just thick. Like, working class, streetwise, normal people know when someone's pissing in the face and telling them it's raining. These people are just thick. You know they're thick because when they get asked any remotely or non-scripted questions, they always fuck it up and make a total twat of themselves. Have you heard Kamala Harris when she's off the script? The woman is thick. Kamala Sutra, if she hadn't grabbed her ankles for about 20 different senators and smoked bloke for fucking 10 years, she wouldn't have got anywhere near the vice presidency. Kamala Harris is where she is because she sucked her granddad's cock. That's why. And I'm not making that up. She was shagging Willie Brown, a very old senator out here in the States. Oh, no, I don't think he was a senator, whatever he was, governor or something, from San Francisco. He was in his 60s and she was in her 20s and she was smoking him. So she climbed the greasy pole all right to get where she is. And these people are just thick. Kamala Harris is thick. You can tell when she speaks. And if you think that this fucking stuff isn't harmful to children, you're just thick.
Kayla is now back to being a guy named Kerry, but 2 years ago when they showed up to teach children, the progressive high school they taught at said that they, the school, not the person.
You can see how he's sick of this shit as well. The fucking bollocks, gobbledygook. Like me, I love the English language. That was my best subject in school, English. I was a voracious reader as a kid. I love the English language. It's amazing. We've got way more words than anybody else. It's so flowery and descriptive, and English is a fantastic language. And they've butchered it. Butchered it. Now you can't nobody can speak English. Have you heard how inarticulate they are nowadays? It's shocking. If you go back and watch videos of school kids in like 70s, they sound like BBC newsreaders. like little kids, 8-year-olds are like, oh, one does need to speak properly or it is difficult to articulate oneself. You're like, crikey, that's a clever kid. Now you hear him, they're like, in it blood. Yeah, talking about blood. Me and my mate Jonesy saw the you never used to see black lads in York. I used to live there in the noughties. And two came into my local one time. Well, not my local. It was a Weatherspoons pub right near my house. And two of them were at the bar. And they pushed in. They just walked straight to the front. And went, oh, you. And my mate Jonesy went, here, I'm in front of him. And the barmaid said, oh, sorry, and served him. And this lad from London, clearly, was like, we're talking about blood. Shaking his hand and just fucking talking bollocks. And I was like, here, mate, fucking do one. You're not in London anymore, son. Every fucking table in this pub will stand up and give you an absolute fucking belting. They will boot you from one end of fucking Yorkshire to the other, so fuck off. And then he looked around, realised that everybody in there was chomping at the bit to smash his fucking face in, and he left. But they can't talk. They can't speak. And Christ on a bike, when someone from Middlesbrough has got to tell you that there's something wrong with your diction and your eloquence, the world's gone fucking mad. Because I'm from Middlesbrough, for fuck's sake. When I'm telling you that your English is shocking, something's definitely gone wrong. Right? So, just putting it out there. Yeah, they're them. Fuck off.
Really, you couldn't have found another word. We were using that one. Anyway, okay. They were committed to a safe environment for gender expression. Safe for who? What about the children?
What about the children? Well, to quote Owen Jones, fuck the children. You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh. The rights of a 40-year-old pervert trump the rights of a 10-year-old girl in these people's mind, in these people's fucking world. In what world is that saying? This is what I'm saying. They're crazy. They're crazy. In what world is that saying? You knew this as a 5-year-old because of like cultural osmosis, just watching TV. Women and kids. You knew that as a 5-year-old, women and kids first. You knew that as a child, as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old kid, you just knew the pecking order and you thought, yeah, I'm more important than my dad because women and kids first. These fuckers, 40-year-old bloke, Jeffrey Marsh, that absolute degenerate, sick, fucking neon pedo. That's what there's a coin. I've just coined that term. It's a neon pedo. If they're not like, we used to call people pedos if they just looked like pedos, like big thick glasses and a beard and a weird dress sense. A neon pedo. I've just made that up. He's a fucking neon pedo. He's a glow in the dark pedo. Like you can't miss it. Lights flashing. He is a pedo with a fucking glowing sandwich board saying, yes, kids, I'm a pedo. Right? That's what he is. And people think his rights trump that of a child. Because when a 10-year-old, if a 12-year-old was a naughty, chavvy 12-year-old lad was like, fuck off, pedo, they'd be like, how dare you? How dare you insult? How dare you insult his sexuality? How dare you insult his identity? Apologise to the neon pedo. Like, this is the world they're living in. You know what I'm saying? Fucking crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, they're the most important. They're the most important. 40-year-old men with fake threepenny bits. Who cares what the 10-year-olds have to say? They're more important.
What about the equipment in that chop class? There was once a weirdo D-list movie producer in the 60s named Russ Maher who made low-budget B movies. Save that. And this is... And I'm generally conservatives on the health service announced that there's not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical...
Yeah, and now he's just pointing out how the Europeans and everyone else in the world now has finally figured out that you shouldn't irreversibly damage children's health. And the rest of the world stopped doing it, but the Americans haven't, because Biden's in charge. But it'll happen when It'll happen when the Orange Oracle takes over, and then he finishes on Sweden, which everyone goes, Sweden. When you talk to a shit for brains lefty out here, and they are pig ignorant. I don't want to play into the stereotype about Americans, but obviously there's loads of sensible, clever Americans. Salty Cracker, for example. But the liberal ones, they're always thick and have never been anywhere. I was talking to a guy from work's wife, and she was a fucking plank. Just talking bollocks about, like, British history. Just making shit up, like, doesn't know any of it. Oh, yeah, remember when you conquered the Indians and massacred them all for no reason? I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just spouting shit you've seen on Netflix. It's bollocks. And they always talk about Sweden. Oh, Sweden's amazing, yeah. It isn't. Have you been? I've been. Been like 3 times. It isn't. It used to be. In the 90s. And then they've had 20 years of neoliberal, open borders, commie fucking propaganda. It isn't anymore. I mean, this is what his piece is about, zombie lies. Because they're spouting rhetoric that's no longer fucking factually accurate. Joe sent me a super sticker. I can't see it in here. I have to go back onto YouTube to see stickers. Where is it? Christ. Blasting through it. Anyway, thanks, Joe. Cheers. Appreciate it. That will get spent on cheap gin. Harsh metallic gin. Anyway, we'll finish up because now he does Sweden. Now he does Sweden and tells you how fucked up Sweden's getting.
A half immigrants since 2010, and now 20% of its citizens are.
Yeah. They've let in 1.5 million since 2010, and now 20% of the country's foreign born. Like, that is even worse than England's numbers, isn't it? If you get London's like 50%. It's totally fucked. Under sad sack midget, dwarven fucking little shitbag. Can't, but I think nationwide that's even worse than England now. 20% of the entire nation's population is foreign born. So yeah, Sweden. This last minute is for anyone who's labouring under the delusion that Sweden's an idyllic paradise. Look at this.
Are foreign born, and its education system is tanking, and it has Europe's highest rate of gangland killings. And one result is that the far-right parties are in the government now there for the first time. To which liberals say blaming immigrants for the rising crime rate is racist. Yeah, but is it true? Of course it's true. It's not a coincidence the quality of life went down after the Somali gangs started a drug turf war using hand grenades. Calling it racist doesn't solve the problem.
There you go. So how based is that? Like, everything he said there is bob on. Everything he said is like, and he's a liberal. He's far left, isn't he, Bill Maher? Like, he's been the darling of the left-wing chattering class in the United States for 30 years. And he's like, yeah, look what's going on here. It's obvious to anybody who's got a hole in their ass. And it's finally sinking in for these absolute twats. Shame it's too late. Can you get it back at this point? Can you get it back? I don't think so. I think maybe if you take really extreme measures that people like me would have never ever advocated like 10 years ago, you're going to have to get draconian and literally start deporting anyone for almost anything. Like, I would never have advocated like deporting people for very, very minor things like traffic or parking tickets or something, but you're going to need such aggressive categories because you need to have an ability to divide by individual actions. So you're going to just have to get draconian and be like, basically, if you've broken any laws at all, or even had a parking ticket, if your name flags up on the system and you weren't born and raised here, you're getting binned. And I think if you did that, you could fix it, because just think of the numbers. I don't know how many illegal, because there's a crime broken. If you're illegal, you should be gone straight away. I don't know how many illegal or legal, i.e. on a student visa or a green card or a work visa or whatever, and then breaking the law. Don't know how many of those people are in the UK, but let's just pull a number out of our ass. If it's 2 million, and in a matter of weeks, you've forcibly deport those 2 million people. It's letting the pressure out. It's like a pressure cooker. If you suddenly deported 2 million people from the UK in a very short period of time, the pressure on everything would go down. There'd suddenly be less pressure on the NHS, less pressure on the schools, less pressure on the criminal system, less pressure on the bobbies on the beat. As I keep saying, it affects everything. The pressure would come off everything. Even the bobbies on the beat would feel it. There'd be like less activity. The schools, the roads, the hospitals, the fucking everything would just relax a bit. So maybe we do need to start taking extreme measures. Like literally anyone. I wouldn't have advocated it 10 years ago. I do now. Does that make me an extremist? I don't think so. Is it not just responding logically to changes in temperature? Like, I think so. Again, I don't agree with the far right on this. I refuse to budge on the born and raised here thing. And I know that pisses off a lot of my followers, but as I said, I'm old enough to remember the 80s when looking back, I consider me to have had a idyllic childhood. I really do. Like, normal working class lad from Middlesbrough, but looking back, I almost consider it to have been idyllic. There was no chew, there was no trouble. I was safe and happy. Used to walk to school on my own as a 5-6-year-old, just round the corner. It was fantastic. And we did have some immigration. There was a little Japanese lass called Yayoi joined my class when I was about 8. And she was lovely. Parents were probably, professionals. And then there was an Indian kid who was my best mate in primary school, I'd called Neil. And it was fine. So I won't budge on the born there because, as I said, I think these people that come as little kids, even if they integrate and most people around them are locals, it's fine. They become British and they integrate. But anyone who's broke the rules, broke the law, came illegally, been arrested, had a whiff of impropriety, just bin them. And I think if you do that, you don't have to get extreme, do you? You don't have to take the extreme measures. Just bin anyone who's there illegally or has broke the rules or broken the law. And the pressure just comes off. You literally could, like I said, you can't know the numbers because they won't tell you. But it would be millions. It would be millions. What primary school? I was posh. I went to Chandler's Ridge primary school in like Nunthorpe, which is posh Middlesbrough. Martin and Nunthorpe are probably the only posh areas of Middlesbrough. There's like 15 areas of borough that are shitholes, like Pally Park, Groveville, fucking Easterside. But Nunthorpe and Martin are nice. I went to Chandler's Ridge. So yeah, the 80s. It was lovely. It was fucking lovely. Walked to school. It was mint. And now we're fucked. So let's do the big news from the day. Oh yeah, I did want to cover the one in Borough. I forgot to show you that. So there's one in Borough, refugee allegedly. Yeah, you know what what's abusing there? They're saying refugee allegedly murdered granddad. No, he's allegedly a fucking refugee. Is what it's where it should be. Alleged refugee, allegedly murdered granddad. Because there's no way this bloke's a refugee. No way. If you knew the word parmo, then you weren't posh. Oh, I've had a few thousand parmos in my time. So yeah, alleged refugee, allegedly murdered granddad after knifing Christian turned housemaid. Ahmed Ali allegedly told police he wanted to kill because of the Gaza conflict. Yeah, so there's Middlesbrough getting a little bit more religion of peace. Love that. Cheers. London is just, like I say, London is just a shithole. Willie, I blame the 70s hippies. Fucking hippies. I've always hated hippies. In the 80s, wasn't it? If you were just a kid, you just got told, don't like hippies. They all smell. They're stupid. Like, oh no, what's it? The young ones? Shut up, Neil, you dirty hippie. Like, yeah, hippies. I blame the hippies. Yeah, I agree with you, Willie. Punk. Oh, that reminds me. You know what that reminds me of? The punk reminds me of a Bernard Manning joke. I fucking love Bernard Manning. Whenever I feel down, I watch 80s, bigoted 80s comedians. Bernard Manning or Chubby Brown. And one of my favourite Bird and Manning joke, daft, doesn't really make any sense, but still funny, is there's a nun sat in a pub, and a punk rocker's in there, and you know what punk rockers are like. They don't like authority, you know, they like to just buck the system. Punk rocker in there is a big mohawk, and there's a nun in there, sitting there with a habit on, having a drink, and he says to her, "Ooh, I'd love to fuck you." Starts cracking onto her, just being a punk, you know. So she says, "Oh, leave me alone, this is disgraceful, don't you have any manners?" She fucks off. And the bus conductor sat at the bar, and he says to him, "Here, she won't put out. She said she's waiting for the Holy Ghost. Said she's been waiting for the Holy Ghost her whole life." He says, "But she goes up the graveyard praying, waiting for him every night. You should go up there." Punk rocker goes, "Oh, she is, mate." So the punk rocker goes up there. He puts a sheet over his head, and when he gets there, she's there, huddled over a grave with a habit on, praying. So he goes up and he goes, "Ooh, I am the Holy Ghost." And she says, "Oh, I've been waiting for you my whole life, for you to take me. But you can't, it's the wrong time of the month. You'll have to do it up the arse." So he bends her over a gravestone, has his way with her. And then when he's finished, he pulls the sheet off and goes, "Ha ha, punk rocker." The nun pulls the habit off and goes, "Ha ha, fucking bus conductor." That's an old one, but fucking brilliant. Bernard, absolutely class. Doesn't make any sense though, does it? Fucking bus conductor. Anyway, just reminded me of that one. I love that. So let's do the last one, which is obviously the big one, which the BBC... We'll do the BBC's coverage of it, because you know what the fucking BBC's going to say before you even think about it. Sydney stabbing. Typical Saturday shopping turns to horror. The language these arseholes use. Westfield Bondi Junction looked exactly like it usually does on a Saturday afternoon. Hundreds of people crammed into the centre. Packs of teenagers, parents with grumbling kids. Fucking get to the point, you horrible lefty twat. Tiffany Turnbull. Fucking dog shit. Don't they? This is what I've told you lot. They always do it. If you pay attention, how many times have I ranted about this? They put filler in everything because they don't want to get to the point. The meat of this story should be who did it? Why did he do it? What was the fucking purpose of it? What was the ideology driving it? How many people got killed? But they don't want to talk about any of that. So they write paragraph after paragraph of shite, filler. I've told you lot, how many times have I pointed this out to you lot? Like, they do it every fucking time. Remember when I was reading you? In fact, I made a video about it a couple of months ago. And I kept cutting it when I was editing it. To me saying, who did it? And it's like, in a leafy shire, who did it? And then, the idyllic nature, the birds, the trees, the flowers. Who did it? Then you can gaze across the pond. Who fucking did it? Tell us who did it. That's why they put all this bollocks in there. Absolute shit. World famous Bondi Beach. But after 1500, it turned to a horror scene. Here we go. Here's the fucking meat. Shoppers looked on helplessly as a mother tried to shield her infant from a knife-wielding man. That's all they'll tell you about him. He's a knife-wielding man. That's it. No ideology. No, not what he looks like. Just a knife-wielding man. Okay. It says, later, a lone cop stared down the knife man and fired. At least 6 people plus the attacker are now dead. 8 were taken to hospital injured, including a 9-month-old baby. Savagery. Unbridled savagery. Brutality from the fucking Bronze Age, which, ironically, is where the ideology hails from. Right? That's where it comes from. We all know it. All the Abrahamic faiths. Little else is known about the incident. Authorities say the 40-year-old killer was known to police, but they haven't revealed the motive for the rampage, only indicating that it likely wasn't terrorism. Right. If they're killing babies, we know what the ideology is. Because only those motivated by ethnic, religious, ancient feudal hatreds have an animus against a 9-month-old baby. That's why Hamas were stoving babies' fucking heads in. Even the IRA didn't attack children on purpose. When they blew up them 2 kids, the Warrington bombing, I think it was, that's what they wrote the song Zombie about, wasn't it? It wasn't a lot of idiots, again, Irish Americans who know fuck all about Ireland, the Troubles, or any history of the conflict in the country. Think that's like a pro-IRA song. The lass wrote the song because she was heartbroken when she saw the 2 dead kids' faces. And it was critical of the fucking people who did it. That's what she wrote the song for. And even they didn't purposely kill kids. The fact that the knife man, and it takes a lot of fucking getting up close and personal with the knife, stabbing a 9-month-old baby. We know the ideology. And it would definitely is the opposite of the shite the BBC are telling you. Oh no, they haven't revealed a motive for the rampage. It likely wasn't terrorism. Because they're doing the old play, which is tell you it isn't, and then wait a week so it's not headline news and it's not all people are talking about all day. And they'll go, oh yeah, it was the Joe Daggy. That's what they do. That's what they do. Shouting about Alan's snack bar all the time. Yeah, cheers. Everyone knows this. It's what I told you what YouTube do. If your video goes viral, one of my videos got up to like 300,000 views in like a day. So they ban it. And then you appeal it. And then a week later they put it back up. And then nobody watches it. That's why. Because it dominates the headlines for 2 days. And then it goes because we're living in a fucked up world and this type of shit happens all the time. So they spend 2 days going, oh, definitely far right. Yeah, it's the far right. Far right, yeah, it's white nationalist. And then 2 weeks later they go, oh yeah, Alan Snackbar. No one notices. And then the thick woke lefties who keep voting for the woke lefty politicians, they don't get the fucking memo. And if you talk to them in the pub and say, what about the Bondi stabbing? They go, actually, it was a far-right nationalist. Was it? Was it? You fucking log. Was it? Yeah, well, I keep joking about that, Anglo-Saxon. You have to laugh at that. Because they make out like culturally, the English and the Irish, it's basically identical. Like, me and Conor fucking McGregor have basically got almost no differences in our culture. Probably grew up the same. He was like, working on a building site. I was working as a steel worker when I was a teenager. Go to the pub, like a bit of a scrap. Like, there's no difference between our cultures. And they made out for decades that the culture of Geordies and Scousers was so alien to them that they could have nothing to do with them. And they go, Geordies, Scousers, no, we've got nothing in common with them. Oh, we've got nothing in common with the Geordies and the Scousers, I tell you. We've got loads in common with Somalian pirates. Fucking love them. Got loads in common with Somalian pirates. Send them over. Fuck it. Send us a Somalian pirate over. Get rid of them Geordies. Send me fucking Captain Phillips. It's and let's look at Sweden. Grenade attacks in Sweden. And they're like, oh yeah, this experiment's working well. You couldn't make this shit up. The world's gone fucking mad. Absolutely mental. So yeah, there you go. Definitely wasn't terrorism. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. Fucking marvellous. I was on the flashing lights, illuminate the crowds, milling. Fucking tell me why he did it. Others embrace. Fucking shut up. I find Johnny. Yeah, it's just bollocks. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not even interested in reading the rest of it. You know what's gone on. A regular at Alan's fucking lovely snack bar, which is why they're always shouting about the fucking place, went mental and stabbed the shit out of a load of people, including babies, because they are attempting to impose a fucking savage, barbarous, ancient theological worldview on us all, because they hate progress and civilization and Shakespeare and Kipling and reading and writing and fucking women dancing and poetry. I mean, look at the shit. The Taliban, they fucking ban women from reading and writing poetry. Everything good in the world. There's something that you have to be if you've ever read a book. You do have to be a Western chauvinist. I'm definitely not far right. or what you'd call a white nationalist, but I am a Western chauvinist. Like everything pure and good and noble and decent in the world. Well, not everything. Got to give a lot of credit to the Chinese and the Japanese. A lot of them Asian countries, you know, they did a lot of good. Like I said, they had the fucking printing press, gunpowder, when we were stuck in the dark ages. But most of the good shit, it comes as a gift that our forefathers bequeathed to us. You know, all the fantastic Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Charles Darwin and John Locke and David Hume and Francis Drake, the Michael Faraday, Isaac Newton, the shit that those people gave us. Yeah, the Greeks were great as well. We got something precious there. And if you don't think that, you don't know anything. As I said, fucking idiots out here love Native Americans. They're like, oh, I wish I was Native American. Oh, their wonderful culture. They were fucking living in a dust bowl in the dark ages. The Aboriginal people in Australia. When Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was composing beautiful symphonies that can almost move a man to tears, the Aboriginal people were living like fucking cavemen. Don't tell me that we should take advice from people that were living in a fucking wigwam or scratching a living in the middle of a fucking desert whilst Isaac Newton was doing fucking algebra. Don't tell me this shit. It's just bollocks. It doesn't mean I don't like anybody or I'm prejudiced, and nobody should be prejudiced. I am an individualist above all else because I despise collectivism and communism. Treat everybody as an individual and then figure out whether you like them or not. But don't tell me that we contributed nothing good to the world. It's fucking lunacy. As I said, people like Michael Faraday, like perhaps the greatest experimental scientist the United Kingdom ever produced, they pushed the world forward in ways you'll never understand. Edmund Halley. How the fuck does a bloke with a shitty telescope look at a comet and go, yeah, that'll be rocking up in 34 years, and then get it right to the fucking day? He saw it come back like shortly before he died, right? Like, these people were geniuses. Standing on the shoulders of giants, that's what we were doing. We were doing all this shit because we were so spoiled. It was a gift. And fucking self-loathing wokists want to tell you that nothing good has ever come from our culture. Because Aboriginal people were loving it. Fucking trees in the middle of the outback. It was shit. Even their instruments. We had a harpsichord. They had a fucking didgeridoo. It's a branch with a hole in it. Absolute shite. So yes, I am a Western snob. We were spoiled. And now look what we've got. Shite. Absolute shit. Yeah, widow burning. Sati. We all know about that one. That's my instant go-to answer whenever you're arguing with a communist about the evils of the empire. You're like, well, stopped a few 100,000 women getting set on fire though, didn't we? Checkmate, dickhead. You know what I mean? They'll say some shit like, hey, what about the Bengal famine? They don't know anything about it. They've just read it like on a tweet. And you go, oh yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Where was it exactly? Can you point to Bengal on a map? Were we at war? Wasn't the Bay of Bengal being blockaded by the fucking Japanese Navy so we couldn't get food to them? Wasn't there tons of other things going on there? We didn't purposely starve them, did we? Did we not purposely starve them? Didn't Winston Churchill have to make a choice between feeding the army that was fighting the fucking murderous Nazi, the people that were actually killing babies on an industrial scale, and we had to make a choice to feed the men that were fighting them, or regretfully not getting supplies to Bengal, which was hard anyway because it was being blockaded by the Japanese Navy. But we also stopped 200,000 women getting set on fire. So you tell me if we're the fucking bad guys. You know what I mean? They don't know anything. So just, yeah, Go-to answer, if any lefty woke arsehole is slagging off the Empire, just go, yeah, widow burning. Cheers. Cheers. Like it's done. Easy, innit? Oh, yeah, that's a good one there. They're all scared of vaccines now. Apparently, they'd almost got rid of, like, polio. And then all of Alan's lads started saying, oh, it's a Western plot. It's a Western plot to inject you with Christianity. So they went, oh, get rid of it. I told you the best bit I ever heard from a naval surgeon who said when they went to North Africa and they were teaching them about put condoms on and demonstrated on a banana. So they get all the locals round in the village and they get a banana out and they put a condom over it. So you get the air out and you put it over that and then you put it on and you leave it there. And when you have sex, it stops the fluid transfer and you don't get AIDS. So they give out millions of condoms and then 5 years pass and they look at the statistics and the AIDS still hasn't gone down. Numbers, mortality rates the same. So they go back out there and when they get to the villages, the bananas in the trees have got condoms on them. the natives thought it was fucking magic of some kind, and they would put all the banana trees full of condoms. That's amazing. I told you this because people are superstitious who aren't from the Western world, the Western canon, getting inculcated, getting told about Isaac Newton and Michael Faraday when you're a little kid, and you admire them and look up at them and go, oh, yeah, science, that's good. And these fuckers, when I was in Iraq, honestly, someone told me, one of my commanding officers said, one of the local Iraqi bobbies was having a go at him, saying, we've seen you with those lasers, why don't you give us them? I said, why are you worrying about traffic control? He says, no, we've seen them lasers. You point them at someone and they tell you if they're a terrorist. That's what they'd seen the Royal Military Police with the speed guns. And they thought you point the fucking laser at someone, press a button, point it at Osama bin Laden, press a button. And he goes, beep, 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 terrorist. They actually thought that's what they were fucking for. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Like, that level of stupidity and ignorance. It's no crime to be ignorant, but don't tell me that we've got nothing to offer the world. Is all I'm saying. I'm not having a pop. I'm just sticking up for us. Don't hate anyone. Don't advocate being mean to anyone in person. But fucking do not tell me that everything our forefathers bequeathed to us wasn't a precious gift that should have been conserved. It was a precious thing and we fucking threw it all away. Shocking. Anyway, that's nearly an hour. You can have that for now, you twats. I guess we'll call it a day. I'm going to go do something useful. My lighting's shit, innit? It's proper bright as fuck. I don't know how to sort it out. It's either too dark or too bright. Anyway, at least you can see my baby blue eyes. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in as usual. Thanks for promoting the channel, because YouTube don't do it. Now I'd say go and see Simon Sideways, right? I believe he's streaming. I might stick my head in myself. Yeah, all right. So thanks for tuning in. See you all very soon. Go and see how Simon's doing. All right? Toodle pip. Cheers. See you later.